Just a little bit of pressure. And so for me, just to explain it real quick, pressure is just kind of like stepping into someone's personal space a little. You need to be smart about that because for some dogs who redirect, it could be a problem. So you just need to be very mindful of that. I always use the example like we go to the supermarket and someone's on their phone while you're trying to go get something off the shelf and you say, excuse me, and they don't hear you because they're too invested in what they're doing. And you ask them again nicely and they still don't hear, and then you step into their space. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were there, right? That's pressure. So why off-duty protocol versus stationing or counter-conditioning and desensitization? So the first thing is, whether it's a dog that's displaying aggressive behavior or excited behavior, that surprise at the door is a really big deal, right? So that big surprise at the door causes the dog to display that reaction. So the first thing is a lot of people teach go to place, go to your station. And the problem for me with that is that a lot of times the dog cannot fully stay there. And if they do, how many of them are sitting on the edge of their seat, right? Like they're just there like, oh my God, I want to go. Whether it's aggression or it's excitement. So that's something that I generally don't do because we're just potentially making the problem worse now because we're building up frustration. Counter-conditioning and desensitization I use in a lot of different areas. This is with greeters or visitors coming over the home. It's something I don't always do, so I find it to be a little bit arbitrary or confusing when a person's walking in the house and we're just standing there with the dog on leash shoving chicken in its face because the dog's already over threshold anyway. So like if we're supposed to work with the dog below threshold or sub-threshold, then what is the point of standing right there in the hallway when the dog walks in? It doesn't make sense to me. So it's not, sometimes it's something we have to do. We don't have a choice. But generally speaking, it's not the first thing I'm going to jump to. So then that's where the off-duty protocol comes in. It creates a predictable situation. There's signaling from the owner. And it can overall create a dog who is more relaxed. There's some barrier. And then using an X-pen, and that's going to depend on the size of the dog. How many guardian dogs are going to be in like an X-pen? So anyway, step 3, I'm staying in this space though, aren't I? Like, I figured out a way. So the clients I'm doing this for generally have bite histories towards people they don't know. So most of my first and second sessions, I'm meeting them outside and we'll go walk together. I just may be across the street while we're walking. For some dogs, I can ease my way in and get closer and we see how the response might be at that point. If I'm too close or the dog doesn't show any interest, then I'll just kind of move away slowly. I offer moving services as well. So you'll see the owner goes over and reinforces her for that calm behavior. She looked at me, she went back to chewing. He decided at that point he felt it was important to reward his dog there. I wasn't giving him instruction in this. So one of the issues with Holly is that movement, any change in the environment causes her to react, and that's where a bite usually happens. So we're trying to teach her here that just because the visitor is moving around the home doesn't mean you need to start getting all intense and I call my clients about 5-10 minutes before my arrival to let them know how we're setting it up. And the reason for that is even though I send them instructions ahead of time, I want to hear their voice and make sure we're on the same page. And I always do it 5 to 10 minutes prior to getting there rather than the night before because someone's always going to forget something. And I don't want an accident happening. Because